Hi and welcome to the channel. Now today I'll be reviewing this little NIKKO, N-I-K-K-O TRM-300 amplifier. An amplifier I bought recently on eBay for, I think it was for £26, delivered £33. The seller said that it was working. Anyone wants to come in and have a look at it, to bring something with him, he's got no way of testing it there, and they can have a listen to it. So I'll put in my minimum bid as normal. Recently, last couple of amplifiers and bits and pieces I bought, I kind of put in a lowish bid, thinking if I buy it, I can do my review on the channel. I can give it a good clean inside, I can give it a detox, all that kind of stuff, and resell it and make a little bit of profit. Not a lot to cover the detox, a bit of my time and that. I don't know, to make £20 or £30 top on top, something like that. I don't know, maybe a little bit more, £30 or £40, something like that, depending on how much time I've got to put into it and all that kind of stuff. But, and obviously how much stuff I use, because detox and that, them sprays are not cheap. They're £20, £25 a tin. They're not cheap. So you've got to cover that, and sometimes you have to use quite a bit, you know what I'm saying. So that was the idea behind this amplifier. To get this, I may give it a little bit of a clean up. I put my lowest bid in. I think my highest bid was £30, something like, with postage, worked out about 37 quid. But anyway, I went for 26. I thought I could get it, give it a bit of a clean, and maybe pass it on. I'm not going to make a fortune on this because it's a little amplifier. Probably thought I'd make a 10 on it or something, but it brings a video to the channel as well, and a little bit interesting because it had a little wooden case, which was quite neat and nice looking. Reminded me a little bit because of the wooden case and the size of it, of a little leak amplifier, these little leak amplifiers with a wooden case. So yeah, I thought I'd get it anyway. Like I say, the bloke said it was working, etc, etc, but as soon as I got it home, it was so crackly that it would blow your speakers. I mean, when I normally get stuff, I usually plug something into the headphones. I don't usually plug the speakers straight in, unless I've got a cheap pair of speakers laying about, because recently, the times I've been getting it, you turn the old volume and it creaks and pops and all that, but it's loud, really loud, and you could do some damage to your speakers, mainly probably your tweeters or something like that, with all the crackling going on, the spikiness and all that kind of stuff. So plug in the headphones. It's still loud on there, but I'm not worried about knocking out an old pair of headphones. And we've got usually got about 330 ohm resistor there in series with the output, so that kind of brings it down quite a bit as well, helps out a bit, I suppose. So yeah, so I usually do it with headphones, and it was as spiky, as crackly as you could possibly imagine. If you had a pair of speakers, you would have heard it next door. It was so loud. It was really loud, and frightening. Someone would have thought, "Oh, sod that! I don't want that. Stay clear of that. It's something seriously wrong with the amplifier." But that wasn't the case. Just some detox, some clean up inside. It's got one of these vents at the top, and dust gets in there. So if I just show you that vent at the top here, I've got it plugged in at the moment because obviously I've been using it and testing it. It's got a nice little vent at the top. Obviously, dust gets in there. And cause havoc. Now, another thing I would recommend is when you get an amplifier is either change the plug or just check the plug. Don't plug it straight in, because I've had some where the wires are in there but they've not even been tightened up. They've come loose over the years, etc. I've had one where it was a silver, I've done a video on YouTube with silver paper wrapped around the fuse. Well, that's not much good, you know what I mean, stuff like that. And you will get one now and again with that live wire where they haven't put it in properly, and one of the wires got like a little thin braid in the wire may flick across and actually short out the kind of fuse, really, where it's supposed to be going to the fuse first, then back onto the pin. It's actually going to the fuse, but one little strand of it's heading towards the pin anyway, so the fuse is pretty much redundant, that kind of stuff. So be a bit careful. Now, this particular amplifier, I didn't change the plug, but the fuse, I just want to show you this fuse. This is genuine. This is the fuse I got out of there. Now, hopefully you can see that. It's a bit dark in here, maybe, to what it can be, but that's supposed to be like silver or bronze around the outside, so quite, supposed to be gleaming, but that is black. I don't know what they got round it. It's like soot or something, but that was in there. And even when I touch it, if I just dab a bit on my finger, it's still coming off on my finger. You probably can't see it, but it comes off my finger. You can see a little silver bit maybe there, if I can catch it in the light. You can see what it's supposed to be, but it's just, I don't know what's happened there, like coal or something. I don't know, it's soot or something on it. So that's no good. So I changed the fuse, put a 3 amp fuse in there. I know I'm waffling on a bit. It's supposed to be a review of the amplifier, but I just wanted to get it across. People buying stuff and that, to be a bit careful, if you're buying amplifiers and that, check the fuses, check the plug, that kind of stuff. And like I say, you may get one that's really crackly and it just needs a detox. But saying that, it's not always you're going to go and do it yourself. So I've been pricing about, as it happens. Reason being is that, like I say, I bought a couple of amplifiers recently. I try and keep everything at a realistic price. when I sell it. I don't want to have people over or anything like that. I think they're getting still good value for money. And anyone that's bought any stuff off of me who's come round here, I think they'll agree that they've got some good deals there, some people. Well, everyone, not just some people, everyone that's come around has got a good deal. Yeah, I've been looking around, and just to do a detox, something like that, just to open the amplifier up, someone to detox it for you, one of these places you go to, send it away, etc. I've been looking on forums. It's a local one to me as it happens, just popped in there for a little price and that, and stuff like that. And they kind of range just to do the detox, a little bit of a clean and that, and you know, probably not going to check anything out other than that, just give it a clean there. 80 to 120 pound there in the UK here, 80 to 120 pounds, something like that. So that's what you could add. So if you weren't going to do it yourself, the amplifiers cost you £26, say, you could be spending another 80 quid just for them to take it apart, detox it and put it back together, all that kind of stuff. So just bear that in mind if you was going to buy something like this. Anyway, so we're going to get on to the review, but just before I do that, the bloke who sent it to me said it was, like I say, come around and check it, and I bought it, that it was in the case, which I liked, and everything else, everything was complete, but in fact it's got no feet on there. It's reached in there, but you need the feet to clamp it in position. So I've got no feet, even though it looks like it's on feet. I've just stuck in a couple of card packets there, just to bring it up a bit, just to show you there. So it's got no feet. So a little bit disappointing in that. Like I say, it had all the crackling when I started. And I think the bloke done me a favour. He held on to it for a couple of weeks while I was on holiday and that. I didn't want it to clash and turn up when I weren't here, even though I weren't away for 2 weeks. But yeah, so he done me a favour there. But I think he felt a little bit, maybe he knew that it weren't quite as what he said it was or whatever, because I'm not saying it was the case. It may have just been, you know, over generous kind of thing. But with the actual amplifier, he sent me this, a static gun, a zero stat gun, which is probably worth as much as the amplifier itself. So yeah, so thanks, you know, I thank him for that. You know, I didn't have to send that, but I don't know, maybe or maybe he didn't, I don't know. It made me mind up if he thought, oh, maybe I should stick that in there just to, as he may get it and think, oh, it's not that, but I did pay a fortune for it anyway. But I just thought I'd mention that. Sometimes you get a free thing. Someone does send you something for nothing or something like that, you know, you get a little extra bonus. Very rarely happens. But how nice is that? You know what I mean, to send that along as well. Anyway, so I can't knock him for that. I you know, got back in touch with him, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, let's do a little review on this. I'm going to tell you a bit about, well, I'm going to compare it a bit later on. I'm just going to fold it over to the Sansui 101. Now, this come out in about the early 70s, something like that. 16 watts a channel. I think the 101, what is it, 15 watts a channel? I forgot now. Come out 72, 73, something like that. So they were of a similar age, considering how old they are and all that kind of stuff. But this here, I think this make here, NIKKO, for what I can make of it, is probably one of these kind of like branded for a shop kind of make or something like that. Something like maybe a shop like Dixon's would get in as their own brand, maybe something like, maybe I'm guessing a little bit. It's probably a cheaper entry into HiFi, if you know what I mean. It's a kind of, you know, trying to give it HiFi sound at a lower price. But if we have a little look inside, just quickly there, as you can see, there's quite a lot inside. In fact, there's more inside there than there's inside the Sansui 101, even though it's in a bigger case and everything. I suppose it makes it look laid out. It's not so much, but it looks like a bit more going on with the circuit. Couldn't get the circuit diagram, but it looks like a little bit more going on there in this particular amplifier than it does on that 101. If I just show you around the back here, actually, I should have unplugged it. I've got all my speaker wires plugged in here, so if I just unplugged it very, very quickly, because I've been listening to it, obviously, unplug that. We've got some circuit breakers here. If I just bring it round, we've got our inputs here over the side here, all our inputs here. It does a ceramic input, so that just shows you how old it is as well. For your turntable, as well as the magnetic, we've got a tuner auxiliary, we've got the tape record in and out there, and the tape there as well. We've got our speakers there, which is nice little pushing clip kind of things. Our earth for our turntable here, and we've got some left and right speaker. These are like protection kind of circuit things. We've got a reset button there, and we've got the primary reset down the bottom here. So I should imagine, I haven't shorted any speakers out yet, but these probably pop out or something when they're going to short kind of thing to protect the speakers. So I thought I'd just show you that there at the back. And we've got our mains plug here, which kind of attached to the surrounding metal case and pushes in. So that's it. It looks like it's going to come out, but it doesn't. It doesn't come out. It looks like you'd be able to pull it out, but you can't. So anyway, let's get on with it. So yeah, I'll just turn it back round again so we know what we're looking at now. And like I say, I've got no feet, and that's how it comes. It's a bit lopsided there now. I've lost my box. Where is it? Anyway, don't worry, there it is anyway. Okay. Right, first of all, I would say the bass is a little bit on the boomy side here. The bass is a little bit boomy on this particular unit that I've got. Don't forget, it's 50 odd years old. The bass was a little bit boomy. Mids and that were okay. They weren't really thrown into the room. There was kind of there was a little bit laid back, really, the mids, I would say, but there was, you know, there was fine. The mids, the strings, the sax, the piano all sounded okay. They was fine, you know what I mean. It sounds too bad at all. Now this amplifier is really towards the top end. It kind of pronounces that top end. It's a bit top end heavy. Really, we're turning this treble down, as you can see, to about there, which is, what would you say that is, about 3 o'clock, where are we, lost my time, 3, about 10 o'clock, something like that, the treble. So we're knocking it down probably a couple of notches there, if they were numbered in ones, that treble, because it can be it's a bit bright, it's a bit loose. I wouldn't say it's brash, but it kind of like, yeah, it's hard to say really. I'll tell you what it is. I was trying to sum this up, how this top end sounded, because if I say it's too bright, and it's got a lot of decay in it as well. When they hit that splash cymbal, or that they have these little things they rattle about and all little cymbals on them. I don't know what they're called. They're like a stick with a load of little cymbals stuck on them, and they kind of give all that, don't they? And they hit the splash and that. It's a massive decay. And with other thing happening, they kind of gets in the way of each other kind of bit. Even though it's got, you know, a reasonable amount of detail in the treble, it's just that bit there. It's just what it is. I just felt that, not every record, but a lot of records that CDs, shall I say, I didn't play any records with it. Any CDs that I played with it, it kind of introduced, going back to that stick with all the little symbols on it, that thing. It seems like a lot of records I didn't even know it was there. And all of a sudden, this geezer's come along. He's starting to play it in there. Like, I weren't in there before. I've never heard that before, kind of thing. But he's them out this time. He's rattling about. Where's that come from, kind of thing. That seemed to be prominent. Like, you know, what I mean, not in every record, but it seemed to be. If it was in there slightly, in the original kind of version, it was in there massively. All of a sudden, listening to it on ear, it really pronounced them kind of frequencies on them little symbols. You could hear that how they sound. That kind of like pronounce that. It was pushing that forward, and it was in there all the time. And another way of comparing it, I thought, how can I compare this? Is that it's like I connect my speakers to my amp, and they sound great. You know what I mean? They sound like really nice and all that kind of stuff. You know, for the money and all that. Let's keep it realistic. You know, that kind of stuff sounds nice with the Sansu 101 and all that kind of stuff. I plug this in, and I've automatically changed my speakers into a cheap Pioneer stack system speakers. Maybe not as bad as that, but getting there. That's how it kind of changed it. That top end, like I say, a lot of top end, maybe something you'll associate with cheap Japanese HiFi, that kind of stuff. A lot of top end going on there. Like I say, the bass was okay, a little bit boomy, but it had some detail, the bass. The bass was all right, the detail was there. Going around the toms and that, fine, you know what I mean, separating them and all that kind of stuff. You could tell the different toms and everything. And the sound stage was pretty good. The instruments are where they're supposed to be. You could tell, like, where, you know, I listened to Phil Collins' Easy Lover and that, and I could tell where he's hitting the cymbal and that, exactly where it is on the kit, and it kind of, you can see, like, you know, the drums are here and the cymbals there, kind of stuff. It seemed to place all that kind of nicely. The sound stage was pretty flat, didn't have much 3D-ness to it. Didn't have much space around the instruments, and the instruments were quite confined, you know what I mean? They didn't have much space, they were in their own bit, and that was it. It didn't kind of resonate anywhere else, didn't seem like any space around them. That was like just it kind of thing. Let's see if I've got anything else here. Yeah, the top end, I've got here, on some records and some stuff, it just, a little bit of spewiness to it, just a little bit kind of creeping in, because it's a bit too high, you know what I mean? Like I say, if you just tone it down a bit, it's not too bad, but it's still quite apparent. Even there, you know, it's still that little bloke coming in with the little things on a stick, tambourines on the stick, them little things. He was about, you know what I mean? Where's he come from, kind of thing. So yeah, it's an interesting sound, to be honest with you. It is an interesting sound. It's a bit top end, it's a bit that kind of stuff. And when we compare it, I've got it here, like, it's quite a contained sound. But, you know, when you compare it, it's not as dynamic. It's not saying that the C101 is over dynamic, but it's not as dynamic as that. It's not as explosive when he, you know, starts hitting the drums. You don't get involved with it, as, you know, nowhere near as much. You won't get involved with it. It's just, the music's just there. You wouldn't sit back and suddenly get involved with it or anything like that. It's not involved. It hasn't got the space. It's not as musical as the 101. I mean, it's a clear winner there, the 101, when you pit it against this. And I don't know what the prices would have been in the shop. I don't think there would have been a vast amount of difference in it going back then between the two amplifiers price-wise. Probably there probably wouldn't be a vast amount of difference, but there would be on the sound. You know, the sound is a vast amount of difference between the two amplifiers. You've got that space, you've got the 3Dness, you've got that little twinkle going on. You know, that special stuff kind of happening with the 101. And obviously you've got more detail with the 101 as well. So the 101 is the better amplifier, but you're going to pay, I don't know, on eBay now, probably 120 to about 120, 140 pound for the 101. I've got a 331 there that still seems to go. I see them going on eBay for 70 quid. See a couple sold recently for 70 pound. I think one of them said he weren't too sure if it was working. So you could be in a little bit of trouble there. If you're buying a 331 or a 441, just a little shout out here, probably not even listening to me now, I've rattled on so long, but if you're buying a 331 or a 441 or a Sansui AU2200, be careful, because they've got them little amplifiers. I call it an amplifier on a chip, but it's just a little package basically with the amplifier in it. And once they go, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. You're going to be hard to find one of them. There's so many copies about that's not going to work. You're going to have to try and find one. So if it comes to the stage that particular bit's gone, then the amplifier is pretty much useless. You know, like just bear that in mind. If you're going for one thing, I'll be able to mend that. If you're a newbie, say, and you think, oh, I'll get that, and if it don't work, I may be able to tinker around, change a transistor or two, and that'd be fine. But it's not the case. You're going to be in a bit of trouble there, sourcing one of them little packages. So just be careful. Sansui 331, 441, and the Sansui 2200, AU2200, just the amplifier. So be a bit careful if you're buying any of them. There's obviously others. There's a Sanyo. There's a few others. A JVC do it. It's that JVC. Was it 22 that had them packages in there? So just be a bit careful if you're looking around on eBay and you see stuff. And you think, I'll give that a go. I haven't done it before. I'll give that a go. You could come unstuck. Think, what's happened here? Like, it's all inside this little package. Just be a bit careful. Okay, so that's it. Like going back to it, like I say, that Sansui, £120, £150, somewhere like that. You're going to pick this up for £30 or £40 all day long. I would have thought. No, you're not going to get. They're going to go for no more than that. So for that kind of money, it's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's not fantastic. Someone described it as a bench amplifier, something you may be testing something out on your bench if you're doing a bit of repair jobs. That's probably where it sits. Have a bit of fun with it. Completely different kind of sound. If you want it as a second amplifier, you really want to go back to something that sounded in the 70s when you bought something. You bought your cheap music centre, that kind of stuff. That's going to kind of give you that sound. You know what I mean? Like I say, kind of reminded me of buying a cheap pair of. You've got these Pioneer speakers. I had a pair on here. They're quite big. Some people like them. Don't get me wrong. But had a piece of foam, a bit of cotton wool in the bottom, so thin. It was just like, you guys not put it in there. It's boomy. The treble, I think, was just a little kind of like little paper kind of cone treble kind of thing. And that's what it turns. It turns your speakers into that kind of thing. It does, not completely, but it's pushing it right over in that direction. That's the kind of sound you're going to get out of it, kind of thing. So just be a bit wary. But for £30 or £40, it ain't the end of the world. Now, one other thing I will say, these are old, and this here has a bit of an It's got a bit of an to it. Now, usually that maybe is two things normally. It's a grounding issue or the capacitor, the smoothing caps. Now, lucky enough, I had some smoothing caps. I changed the main one, and I changed two in the actual amplifier as well, the left and right channel as well, but it made no difference at all. So it wasn't that. So I think I've got a bit of a grounding issue, and it is apparent, not so much when you touch the outside, but when you're inside and you actually attach the chassis inside, it goes quite a bit, it dies down. So would be a grounding issue. Did do a few grounding tags. I pulled a few to the centre from different parts of the board, a couple of extra wires I put in there, and it didn't make any difference at all. So there's a grounding issue there somewhere. So something you may come across buying an old amplifier, it may suddenly have a grounding issue or something like that. Don't know how it suddenly comes into place. Thanks, probably maybe a few capacitors, maybe the old lot of capacitors need changing in there, something like that. Then you could do that, and it still may not be it. So just be a bit careful if you're thinking of that. But for what it is, it's not massive. It's not massive. Notice it's more on these bigger speakers because these have got the big bass drivers. They give a lot more bass than the other speakers. So with the other speakers, you kind of get away with it. With these bigger speakers, you kind of get away with it, but not so much. You know what I mean? It's bearable. I'm not saying it's bearable. It is bearable because it's not that bad. But as soon as the record stops, you could hear that little bit of in the background. It ain't the end of the world like some of these big speakers. But if you've got smaller speakers, you're probably not going to hear it so much. So just be a bit careful again. These are 50 years old, these amplifiers, and plus. And I would say that when they come into that, things need probably doing on some of these amplifiers soonish. You know what I mean? Something's probably they're not gonna last forever kind of thing. So just bear that in mind as well. So that's it. 30 or 40 pound. It's okay. You haven't got any more money. It's okay. Want to kind of get that old 70s sound. This is the one. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay. Won't put completely off of it. You may have to turn that treble down a little bit, and you're going to be okay-ish, I think. You know what I mean? So that's it. Until the next video, I'll say thanks for watching, and I'll see you all